What's going on, guys? It's Gendo here, and I'd like to welcome you to a brand new series titled The World's First, where I'll be taking over the world's oldest independently formed football club, Sheffield FC, and try to get them all the way up into the Premier League. A little bit of history on Sheffield FC. They were founded in 1857 and were originally founded under what was called Sheffield rules, playing a version of football of their own choosing. And while their rules did influence the founding of the English Football Association, they didn't abide by the FA rules until 1877. But that hasn't stopped both FIFA and the FA to recognize Sheffield as the oldest football club in the world. And taking a look at the background of the club, as I said, they founded in 1857. They are a semi-pro team sitting in the EvoStick Northern League 1 South, which is the 8th tier of English football. They play at the Coach and Horses ground in Dronfield, which is a suburb of Sheffield, only a capacity of 1,456. And in real life, in recent times, the club has been trying to gather the funding to help build a 10,000-seater stadium within the city limits of Sheffield. And while that may be a little bit too small for a team the stature of Sheffield is right now, hopefully I will be able to bring them all the way up to, say, League 1, League 2, at where we can finally get the actual funding for a stadium in-game ourselves. And there really isn't much on the way of their history. The only thing of note that they had is they were a runner-up in 1977 for the FA Challenge Vase. Taking a look at the squad itself, it is very defensive-laden with 6 defensive backs already on the roster. We do have a few midfielders in there with a couple of strikers. Only one goalkeeper, though. And this is it. This is all I have to start with in terms of rosters. There is nothing in the under-21s. There's nothing in the under-18s. It is just this group of about 15 players that I need to work with going forward. Now, of course, that's not going to stop me from selling and buying players to help even out the ranks. But as you can see, there are a lot of non-contract players. There's a lot of players out of contract. So I need to be mindful of anybody who are trying to snap up players on a free. It's almost like when I was working in Queen's Park and everyone was classified as an amateur. Anybody can snatch up my players. But at the same time, since I'm down in the 8th level, since I am down the 8th level of English football, a lot of teams are running similar formats. They're all semi-pro, if not amateur, and I can snap up players for free and maybe not have to pay them full wages to help bolster the squad. Now let's take a look at the roster we have right now, and the 2 best players on the squad are strikers. Let's take a look at them. Benny Igahan, a 21-year-old Swiss player. He's got decent speed for a player at this level, 11 pace, 11 acceleration, and then his attacking stats like a 11 on finishing, a little weak on the dribbling and first touch, decent technique with a 10 there, but overall, not a bad striker. I know there's a better option, and there really is. And I would have liked to have said it would have been Yon Ben Yaha, a 28-year-old Frenchman. He definitely doesn't have the speed of Benny, and he doesn't have the same attacking stats either. He only has a 7 finishing, 7 dribbling, 8 first touch. So if he wants to become a decent striker for this side at this level, he definitely needs to work on that. Speed as well, 7 pace, 9 acceleration. He's got good natural fitness and stamina, but in the long run, I want him scoring goals. And right now, he doesn't look like he'll be the guy to do that. Continuing down the list, we have our first defender. His name is Ben Turner, a 23-year-old left back, and he looks very well-rounded. Decent speed, decent defending, okay aerials for being 6'1", but at the same time, this is a level 8 quality player. So I'm not expecting huge fireworks in terms of stats for anybody on here, but he does look like a player that can get the job done. Our third forward on the list is Shaq McKenzie, a 21-year-old Englishman, and he looks like he's going to be the permanent backup on the squad if I don't decide to get rid of him. Decent speed with a 9 pace and a 9 acceleration, okay mentals, and okay finishing stats. In fact, I may just up and say this guy is going to be gone just because of his 7 dribbling, 7 finishing, 4 first touch. That's really poor. I know he's only 21 and does have time to develop, but just does not look like he would be suited for this club. The next few players are middle-of-the-road players, and they're consistently defensive mids and center mids. First up, we have Nathan Okoye, a 19-year-old Nigerian, and to be quite honest with you, not all that bad. It's just the only thing on that polygon that really worries me is his lack of physicality. Only a 5 strength and a 5 balance, but other than that, on the physical side, not bad. 11 pace, 11 acceleration, 17 natural fitness, which means he's going to develop quickly and his stats won't diminish once he gets older. And the fact that he's 19 too means that he's going to be developing for quite a bit. Already 11 marking and 9 tackling, 11 positioning. Pretty solid for the center back position. We then have 18-year-old Zimbabwean Edward Dakwa, who looks to be backup level at best for this league. 11 marking, 9 tackling, 11 positioning, just like Nathan. However, the only downside to him is he is slower with a 9 pace, 8 agility, and 8 acceleration. If I don't have any better options, I will throw Dakwa out there as his defensive ability can make up for his lack of speed, but at the same time, he's definitely not going to be my first choice center back. And somebody that I won't be starting in the center back position unless I can prevent it is 25-year-old Hafiz Hamzat. The Nigerian looks decent mentally and in the pace department, however his defensive stats leave a lot to be desired. 5 marking, 5 positioning, but the 11 tackling gives some promise, but if he can't mark and he can't position himself to get into a spot that he can make the tackle, he's just going to be left there on an island and he won't do any good for the club. Moving to the center of the park, we have our best center mid, and his name is James Knowles, a 25-year-old Englishman, 5'9", but he does have a little bit of jumping reach with a 9 there, heading of 8, and overall decent attributes for the center mid position. His technique is 9, though his passing is 6, okay mentals, and the other technicals look fairly decent as well. And something that I'm going to look to get rid of as soon as I'm done looking at the roster, Connor Glavin, a 22-year-old center mid that all he really has going for him is his pace, with 11 there, 9 agility, 12 acceleration, but just take a look at all of his other stats, and he doesn't really shape up compared to James Knowles. So I know already what I'm going to be looking for in the scouting department to try and strengthen the squad. And then we have our first winger in James Gregory, 23-year-old Englishman who is obviously not going to win a lot of headers. As you can see, his heading is a 1 and his jumping reach a 5, but I want to use him as a true winger. Just put him out wide, get him deep in the opponent's area, and then cross it into the box and hope one of the big men in the middle can bring it down and get the goal. With his 9 dribbling, 7 crossing, to go along with his pace of 8 and 9 acceleration, I think he's going to be my starting right wing unless I don't bring anybody else in. Continuing down the list, and I feel we are hitting the players that I know are going to be the backups, we have 29-year-old Stuart Ludlam. He has decent mental attributes, but unfortunately not a lot else from that, with a 3 marking, a 6 tackling, and a 9 positioning to go along with some decent physicals. There's just no way I see him starting unless absolutely necessary. Then we have another right winger in Matt Ronnie, 32 years old. Once again, not going to win any headers. Going to use him to try and pick up the pace out on the right with a 7 dribbling, 7 crossing, and with his decent speed of 9 pace and 8 acceleration. Technically, he's better than James Gregory, but I'm going to let these two guys fight it out to be my starting right wing. Then we have Craig Late, a 28-year-old Englishman who, just based by his polygon, doesn't look to be a center back. He looks more like a center mid, and I could possibly train him to be in that spot, but I don't know how long it'll take and how proficient he will be in it. But he has some decent pace, though. A 10 pace, 10 acceleration, some decent mentals. Technically, could use a little work there, but like I said, at 20 years old, I don't know how much he's going to learn at this stage. So it may just be a case of what I see is what I get, and I'm going to have to deal with him if I don't get rid of him. And then finally, we have our only goalkeeper on the squad in Jamie Green. The 27-year-old Northern Irishman is fairly okay. The only thing I don't like about him is his shot-stopping ability. He only has a 3 in the one-on-ones department. He doesn't like to rush out, even though he has some okay reflexes along with some speed with an 8 pace and a 10 acceleration. But when he gets to that one-on-one situation, it's pretty much going to be a goal every single time. So I want to try and at least have a second goalkeeper on that's equal to Jamie in terms of ability, if not better. as Jamie looks to be more of a backup goalkeeper type. And here are the competitions we are currently entered in at the moment. EvoStick Northern League Division 1 South, that's going to be a mouthful after a while, but we'll just say level 8. And with 22 teams in the league, there are only going to be 2 teams promoted. Obviously, the winner automatically, and then the second through a playoff. Now, the board expects this to be mid-table. I obviously want to shoot for higher. I want to shoot for that 5th place spot at the very least to try and get into the playoffs at the first asking. And then, of course, the FA Cup, where we're going to be starting in the second qualifying round. The board says don't be outclassed. I don't know how long we'll stay in the FA Cup, but we'll try and be as competitive as we can. Going back into the season and taking a look at the odds for who's going to win the title this year, we are sitting in 17th. The media don't predict us to do much. They predict us to be in a relegation battle, and as I said before, I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to do everything in my power to help build up the squad and try to put us in a position where I can get Sheffield into the playoffs at first asking. And this is what the schedule looks like. Now, of course, we'll be coming back in the next episode for the Double Live Com to start the season versus Chasetown and Charlton. But as you can take a look right here, I have a friendly proposal set up with a team called Hallam. Now, a lot of you may not know this, but Sheffield FC and Hallam are considered the world's oldest rivalry. Known as the Rules Derby, Sheffield and Hallam have been playing each other since 1860. And since Hallam are 2 levels below Sheffield right now and don't look like they'll be coming back up anytime soon to play each other in the league, I'm going to keep the spirit of the derby alive and set up a friendly proposal against them. Right, so that's pretty much it. I'm going to go through those friendlies. I'm going to try and make a lot of signings, get rid of a lot of dead wood, and try and bolster the squad so that by the time we face off against Chasetown and Carlton, the squad may be completely revamped. We may have half the squad gutted and with new blood in. But like I said, the goal for this first season is to try and get into the playoffs at first asking. So until that time, I'd like to thank you all very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. Any comments, suggestions, questions, anything else, please leave in the comment box below. But as always, this is Gendo, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, and peace out.